Low-carb and keto diets have become mainstream, inspiring an explosion of low-carb breads, snacks, and drinks in grocery aisles. For many people, reducing refined carbohydrates truly improves energy levels, appetite control, and metabolic markers, and there is solid evidence that low-carb approaches can help with weight management, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes. But keto is not automatically the best or only solution, and for some people, very low carbohydrate intake can become difficult, restrictive, or counterproductive. The most successful approach is flexible, choosing quality carbohydrates, balancing proteins and healthy fats, and finding a level of carb reduction that supports long-term well-being rather than rigid perfection. The rise of low-carb culture is unmistakable. Products labeled as keto-friendly, zero net carb, and grain-free now fill shelves from supermarkets to convenience stores. Protein bars, once marketed to athletes, now target busy parents and office workers. Cauliflower-based everything, from pizza crust to sandwich thins, reflects how deeply the low-carb movement has shaped modern food culture. This success didn't happen by accident. Many people try a low-carb approach and genuinely feel better. They notice fewer blood sugar crashes, improved mental clarity, and reduced cravings, all of which make the diet feel empowering rather than restrictive. There's strong science behind why low-carb diets help some people. Reducing refined carbohydrates lowers rapid glucose spikes and decreases insulin demand, which can significantly improve metabolic flexibility. Clinical studies show that low-carb or ketogenic diets can be particularly effective for people with insulin resistance, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes, often improving A1C levels and helping reduce medication needs under medical supervision. Higher protein and fat intake also increases satiety, making it easier for people to naturally eat fewer calories without hunger, a major reason low-carb diets support weight loss in the first months. Some people report dramatic improvements in triglycerides, HDL cholesterol, and inflammation markers. But the low-carb boom has also revealed challenges. Not everyone thrives on very low carbohydrate intake, especially athletes performing high-intensity exercise, people with thyroid conditions, pregnant or breastfeeding women, or individuals prone to anxiety or fatigue when restricting carbs severely. The early adaptation period, sometimes called the keto flu, can feel uncomfortable if electrolytes and hydration aren't managed properly. Over time, some people find strict carbohydrate limits socially limiting or mentally draining, which can lead to cycles of enthusiasm followed by burnout. Dietitians emphasize that quality matters more than blindly cutting numbers. Removing sugary drinks, pastries, fast food carbs, and ultra-processed snacks brings immediate benefits for nearly everyone. The nuance is that whole food carbohydrates, fruits, legumes, sweet potatoes, oats, quinoa, and whole grains provide fiber, antioxidants, and essential nutrients that support gut health, hormone balance, and long-term disease prevention. When low-carb diets swing too far toward processed keto snacks or excessive saturated fat, some of the metabolic advantages can fade. Low-carb products in stores reflect this tension. Many are helpful transition tools. Almond flour tortillas, high-fiber breads, and low-carb yogurts can support balanced eating and better blood sugar control. But some packaged foods simply swap carbohydrates for artificial sweeteners, fillers, or ultra-processed ingredients that aren't necessarily healthier. Cost can also be a barrier. Keto bars and specialty baking mixes are often much more expensive than whole foods like eggs, beans, vegetables, canned tuna, or fruit. The long-term research on low-carb eating shows promising trends but also highlights diversity in response. Some people maintain weight loss and metabolic improvements for years, while others see benefits diminish when they reintroduce carbs or struggle with sustainability. Many dietitians now recommend a moderate, flexible approach. Instead of aiming for extreme carbohydrate restriction, prioritize whole foods, build meals around protein and fiber, and personalize carbohydrate levels based on activity, physiology, and lifestyle. For example, someone sitting at a desk all day may thrive on lower carbs than a heavy exerciser burning high amounts of glucose. Importantly, low-carb eating doesn't require perfection to work. Even reducing refined carbs by 20 to 30% can improve energy and blood sugar stability without feeling restrictive. Small shifts, swapping white bread for whole grain, choosing berries instead of sweets, adding protein to breakfast, or eating more vegetables, create metabolic improvements without adopting full keto. What makes the low-carb movement valuable is that it encouraged many people to rethink habitual carb-heavy eating patterns built around cheap refined grains and sugar. That awareness is positive and has helped millions move toward healthier choices. The challenge now is clarity. Understanding that low-carb is a tool, not a universal rule, and that individual biology determines the best approach. The healthiest message is a balanced one. Low-carb diets can be transformative for many people, particularly those with metabolic concerns, but they're not the only path to health, and they work best when grounded in whole foods rather than processed substitutes. Instead of debating whether carbs are good or bad, it's more empowering to ask how different foods help the body feel and perform. Ultimately, the winning strategy is personal, flexible, and enjoyable, a sustainable eating style that nourishes rather than restricts and adapts to changing needs over time. In short, low-carb can be incredibly helpful when used thoughtfully, and the growing availability of supportive products is a sign of progress. But the real success comes from balance, smart choices, and listening to the body, not chasing extremes.